We are at E3 2016, and this is one of my favorite times of E3, talking to Jim Ryan and learning all the secrets he's got stored for us. But first of all, let's start with an easy softball question. How's your E3 been?
You know, it's been great. You're always, every time you do one of these things, you're always a little bit nervous. You never know quite how it's going to be, but and we did something a bit different this year at the show with the orchestra. First time I think any of us has seen an orchestra at E3, and that worked really well. But more importantly, so did the games.
Because that was really your focus, the games. Very different from Microsoft's approach. Did that throw you anything? What was your thought on what they did? I mean, it's unprecedented to talk about 2 new consoles at one show.
You know, they had a good show. You know, we obviously watched their show. We talk about it a lot, and they took a different approach, and we have to respect that. But you know, we took a different approach too. You know, we figured out it's taken us too many years that just having a whole bunch of middle-aged men on a stage talking endlessly is probably not the wisest thing to do at this sort of event. So we've done it differently. We had a great lineup of games, and we just wanted to let them do the talking rather than us. And that's what we did, and we were happy with it.
Yeah, and then I noted that there was only one developer who got the privilege of being on stage at Sony this year. Quite special one. What was the thinking going into that, and sort of not having developers on stage except for one?
Well, again, you know, we try and keep these things as short as we can because you know they just get boring if they get close to 2 hours. And we had so many games that we thought just the games, you know, not the developers. But the guy we had up there was obviously very special, and somebody that has been close to PlayStation for many years with Metal Gear Solid, and to kind of bring him back to the PlayStation family was something that we really wanted to do. He's a great guy. He's got a great sense of humor. He's good to hang out with.
And of course, the big, huge elephant in the room that we're dealing with right now, of course, is the no news of Neo. What can you say about that decision of not? So because we know there's something coming. What went into that decision?
You know, I knew you were going to come with this, and 2 reasons. You know, first of all, like I say, we need to keep these things to a manageable time. We had all these games, and we really wanted to focus on the games coming in 2016, 2017 and beyond on PS4 and PlayStation VR. So, and we didn't want to dilute it or distract it with hardware-related announcements. But, you know, more importantly, we feel it's important that when you make this sort of announcement that you don't just, you know, trot off a list of specifications and this and that, but you actually demonstrate what a device like Neo is capable of. And when we have the gaming applications that do that, then we'll be ready, and then we'll show it.
All right. Okay, I think I can read between the lines that was a little bit of a kick directed at someone. But
that's you reading between the lines, not me. We'll let your readers and your prodigious audience.
You be the judge. All right. I think because I think there was a little bit of a directed kick from the other side at their press conference about being able to do VR properly. What's your comment to that?
My comment to that is, you know, go and check out PlayStation VR, and you know, join the 40 million people who already own a PlayStation 4, who will be able to enjoy a fantastic PlayStation VR experience. You know, I've got absolutely no doubts about the quality of the VR experience that PlayStation VR offers to everybody that owns a PlayStation 4.
And that is, of course, perhaps the largest focus of the company this year, to get PSVR out there. Will you be able to meet demand at launch? How do you see it? With you obviously have some pre-order numbers already.
Yeah, we do have pre-orders, but you know, at the end of the day, you never really know until you launch. You know, it's all speculation, the matching of supply to demand. What I can say is that production is going very well. It's entirely on track. We will have a proper PlayStation launch for PlayStation VR. There'll be, you know, we will, unlike other consoles, we'll be launching in every major European market on the same day, October the 13th, that we launch in Japan and North America. It's very important for me to be able to do that. We'll have significant amounts of inventory. We'll have inventory in stores. We'll have inventory to fulfill pre-orders. Whether that's enough, I honestly, I don't know, but it will be a proper PlayStation launch.
how is demand compared to, say, Japan and North America? And do you see any differences in across Europe in terms of the PSVR?
No, it's a pretty consistent picture. The acceptance has been pretty even and evenly strong. I'd say right across Europe, just as it has in North America and in the eastern part of the world.
And speaking of that, and one key thing at a launch, of course, is the strength of the software, because that is what's going to sell the units. And I think we have experience with the VR devices that have launched that maybe they didn't have the software there day one to sort of really drive demand beyond the sort of initial adopters. What can you tell us of that launch lineup, and what do you see as key to deliver there?
Yeah, it's a completely correct observation, and it's one of the reasons that we're launching in October. Rather than the initially stated window of the first half of calendar 2016. Rather than meet a rather arbitrary promise previously made, for us just to wait those few extra months and ensure that the software is there is really important. And we stated on Monday that we will have 50 games between the launch and Christmas 2016, and there's a whole range of genre, there's a whole range of big games, little games, digital games, discs, games that will play on Blu-ray discs, and the statements that were made on Monday night with these big franchises coming to PlayStation VR. Star Wars already announced, Batman announced, Final Fantasy 15 announced, Resident Evil announced. I mean, these are substantive, serious heavyweight franchises, and to have them coming to PlayStation VR really quite quickly, I think that makes a big statement.
And your own franchises, how do you sort of pick and choose which ones make sense on VR? And because you're going quite heavy on sort of original IPs yourselves on PSVR, of course, you got Gran Turismo as well, but what's the approach there?
Well, it's really around figuring out what makes a great VR experience, and just taking a standard PlayStation 4 game and VRing it, if I may use that expression. It just doesn't work, right? You got to sort of start from the ground up, and it's the creative people who have to do this, and try and figure out what makes a great VR game, and that's what they're doing. And in some cases, Drive Club, for example, GT, for example, it's basically taking the PS4 game and making a VR version quite easily. But in many other cases, it's just starting with a clean sheet of paper and building something from the ground up.
And we talked about the third parties getting their big franchise. What's the interest there from third party in terms of PSVR? How you sort of experience that?
Well, on the one hand, you've got the developers, the creative people who are really intrigued and excited about it, and really want to get in there and start making stuff. On the other hand, you've got the publishing side of these businesses who tend to be old men with calculators. They're sort of governed by considerations such as install base. And now, on the one hand, they get the calculators out and they do this and that and run their numbers. On the other hand, they equally realize that if they're not there at day one, they risk being left behind and getting into some sort of catch-up mode, which never works well for anybody.
And that is perhaps what I found was most interesting was Resident Evil 7, which is the full game in VR, playable, and it's been built with the engine built for VR as well. And this has been a long time coming. You had the kitchen demo here last year, so this is a secret that's you sort of known about for a while now.
Yeah, I know. We didn't let on. The secret was held, wasn't it?
It was a great surprise when the kitchen trailer at the press conference, I gotta say.
Yeah, no, it worked very well, didn't it? I was very happy with that.
Few other secrets you've kept under wraps, but I mean, Crash Bandicoot is such a. I mean, I don't know any other game that has been top of the chart for like 3-4 years. The PS1 classic, it's just kept on selling, and we haven't seen a sequel. It's crazy. But could you tell us what sort of, how is this deal structured? And because it's a little bit complicated with the remaster of a game that's actually sort of yours, and then Activision and all the parties involved.
Yeah, it's kind of complicated, and it would really rather bore your viewers. So
I think they're interested.
And it would take too long. But we're simply delighted to have this legendary, iconic property, and to be able to kind of refresh it and bring it to PlayStation 4. That's something special for us, because on the one hand you've got this new stuff that's coming, but on the other hand you've got this rich, heritage and history of PlayStation properties, and to be able to update them and refresh them is wonderful.
And even if it's a remaster, and we're delighted about that, it does give us a little more hope that perhaps one day we'll see a new Crash Bandicoot as well.
We've got to keep you guys hoping for stuff that's going to come in the future. It's tease you a little bit as well.
Okay. I think we're sort of starting to run out of time, but I wanted to ask you about obviously the big news with Hideo Kojima's new game at the show. Do you have any indication? Because we basically just got a teaser there, no news, and you spoke about games coming out in 2017. Is it that soon, or how long will you make us wait?
That is very much up to Kojima-san, and he has he delivers. He always delivers great games, but he'll deliver his game when he's ready.
That's good news, because we don't want it too soon, right? Thank you so much for the time, and I look forward to hearing more about Neo. Maybe a little bit later this year.
Well, it's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you so much.
See you. Bye.